All right, so today we're going to be doing a review on the iLoud MTM MKII speakers. And I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. I have done a lot of speaker reviews. I've had a lot of speakers. These are the first speakers I've ever had that had two 5-inch woofers. And I'm going to say this. These things are loud and they sound really good. So let's get to it.
Bolo!
And man, to be honest with y'all, these things got a little weight. My little arm over here is struggling right now. Now, I've done a lot of speaker reviews on a bunch of speakers on this channel. And what I can say is over the years, speakers have gotten so much better and they have gotten so much more affordable as well. Now, one thing I can say is iLoud did not disappoint with these speakers as well, because these right here, number one, are loud, and number two, they sound really good. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. There's a lot of great speakers out here from a lot of good companies, but one thing that I can say is a lot of those speakers are lacking volume. That's one thing you ain't gotta worry about these speakers. You don't have to worry about any volume issues, because these speakers definitely represent iLoud, because these things are loud. But the good thing about it is, even though they're loud, they're not like PA speakers. These things are really good monitoring speakers. They're really good near-field monitoring speakers that can give you the volume that you need. So whether you're in a small studio or a big studio, you can get the volume that you need to pretty much fill up the room. Now, this is the first set of speakers I've ever had like this that had the two 5-inch woofers. And I can honestly say I wasn't really expecting that much bass out of them, but these things actually got a lot of bass in them. I ain't gonna lie, they got a lot of bass in them, and I was very, very, very surprised on how much bass these things got. And they're not lacking. They're not lacking on mid-range either, and they're definitely not lacking on the high frequencies as well. And I ain't gonna lie, they look kind of good though. They look pretty interesting. I like the little, black coating on here, and then, got the double woofers and the tweeter in the middle right here. They look good. I think they'll make your studio look real good just from the aesthetic point of view. You know what I'm saying? Now, before I get to how they compare to other speakers that I have or the speakers that I've owned, let's go through a few specs real quick. All right, so first things first, these things have 175 watts of RMS power, meaning if that's 175 watts of RMS, most likely it's around about 350 watts peak power, because you guys know I'm a car audio guy. I used to hook up car audio speakers back in the day, when the car audio speaker, thing was real big, like in the mid-90s, early 2000s. I don't know about these new cats, but I was a part of that back in the day. And most of the time when a speaker gave like a peak power, we knew to just cut that in half, and that would be the RMS power. This is actually some very good power for some studio monitors. Now let's talk about the frequency response of these speakers. These speakers can go all the way as low as 45 hertz, all the way up to 30 kilohertz. That's actually pretty doggone low for some 5-inch woofers. I can't lie to you, pretty low. And these things actually have a low frequency extension at 37 hertz at -4 dB. Now, for all of you speaker nerds who worry about the max SPL, these things peak out at 117 dB and have a continuous max SPL level at 105 dB. Now, like I said before, these speakers come with two 5-inch ultralight paper-coated mid-woofers, and this thing comes with a 1.5-inch dome tweeter. Now, one thing that these speakers and pretty much all of the iLoud speakers come with is the built-in ARC room correction system. Now, with that, you get this mic right here to where you can go ahead and use the room correction system with this mic, and that way you can get all the points around your room, and it will do some room correction for your speakers, and that comes with the speakers. And it is compatible with the ARC-X ecosystem, so if you do have the ARC-X room correction system, these speakers will work with it as well. Now let's look at the back of these speakers. Now these speakers have a bass port on the back of the speakers, and they have some EQ settings. They have a low frequency extension, they have a low frequency EQ, they have a high frequency EQ, and it has like a calibration for the speakers if these things are either sitting on the desk or they're sitting on the stand or if they're sitting flat. So you can pretty much calibrate the speakers that way as well. And it has an auto standby switch as well, so if you're not using the speakers, they'll go in standby mode. They have a volume level control, which I didn't have to touch it, and these speakers were real loud. Now, they do have a USB input on here, but it's more like for firmware updates, factory checks, and just controlling the iLoud monitors via the software. Now, they do have a control I/O This is pretty much for you like to daisy chain all the speakers and stuff like that. I most likely won't be using this, but if you guys want to daisy chain the speakers and stuff, then this is how you can do it. Now let's talk about the input. You can use an XLR input or a 1/4 inch input on these speakers. And one thing I can say, iLoud does always throw in a few extra perks. So they went ahead and gave us these isolation pods right here to put underneath the speakers. So just in case you have these speakers sitting on a hard surface, you can put these pods on here on the bottom of the speakers, and it'll get all of the other vibrations out of it so that the speakers can sound better. Now, with all that being out the way, how do these speakers sound? Okay, compared to all of my other speakers that I've had, these speakers sound good. Okay, I went ahead and had to break them in. I went ahead and played them for about 24 hours straight. I had them playing on a moderate to kind of loud, volume, so I can kind of break these speakers in. And as I broke them in, I was very impressed by the sound. Now, who are these speakers for? I believe these speakers are for people who have home studios to moderate setups that want to have a really good, loud, but very clear near-field monitor. A lot of these speakers out here all sound really good for the price point. They all sound really good, and these do not disappoint. Are they the best speakers in the world? I don't know, because we all hear a little bit different. We're all built different, so we hear things a little bit different. Now, these speakers do come with the room correction. I was not able to use the room correction because I got these speakers a little early, and when I went to download the new room correction stuff on here, I was not able to download it. So what I did was I used the speakers just how they are out the box. I didn't change anything on the speakers. I left everything flat. And what I can say is, compared to some speakers that I do have that are pretty expensive, these things definitely held their own. And to be honest with you, it's been kind of cool using them because they've given me the loudness that I want, because a lot of the other speakers, I have to go in the back of speakers and turn them up. And then a lot of times when you turn up speakers like that, they don't give you that accurate sound after you kind of turn them up. They're just loud from that point, and they kind of sound kind of weird once you kind of turn them up. With these right here, I did not have to turn them up. They stayed loud, and they still gave me a really good sound. Now, that's one thing I can definitely say about these speakers is they give you the loudness, but they're not distorting. They don't give you that weird sound. I can't really describe it. Y'all know what I'm saying? Like when y'all get speakers and you turn that volume knob up, and then like the speaker just sounds like wobbly, or it doesn't give you that accurate sound anymore. The thing I like about these are when you turn them up, it still gives you that same accurate sound if you just left that volume knob right there on 0. So that's what I really can say about these speakers. Now, a lot of you guys are going to ask, do you keep these speakers standing up or do you put them on the side? You keep them standing up. Now, I know some of you guys are going to be like, well, what about the stereo imaging? You're totally fine with the stereo imaging with these speakers when they're standing up. They did an awesome job. There's a full spectrum stereo imaging on here, and it sounds really good. You keep these speakers standing up. That's how they were made to be used, okay? So what I'm gonna do as well is I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys an audio test. I'm gonna go ahead and record the audio from my iPhone 16 microphone of a beat that I made with these speakers. I know it's kind of hard to do this type of stuff because you really have to be there with the speakers, but I think you guys will kind of understand how these things sound even with the iPhone microphone. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Bolo, 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 yes, I'm actually very impressed with these speakers. A lot of you guys told me to check out the iLoud speakers. I was kind of on the fence about it, but then they did reach out. They sent me over their smaller speakers, which I did a review on, and they sent me over these right here. And all I can say is that these speakers sound really good. And they look good too. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Hope you guys learned something from it. And like I always say, peace out.